Let's talk a little bit about the other game. Um, my Niners, my beloved Niners. And you know, it's funny, I wrote on my Facebook page, I actually thanked people like you and my niece, some of my neighbors. They're all like, all right, man, we're going to root for the Niners, man. You know, a lot of people was like, yeah, we're going to root for the Niners. And I'm like, how you feeling? And I was like, scared. You know?
Right.
But you know, give me your quick take on the game, and we'll talk a little bit about Garoppolo separately, but just in terms of the game itself, what did you kind of take away from that game?
Uh, First of all, I picked the Niners to win, so obviously I was wrong on both games. But I picked them to win with confidence. I really believed that their success against the Rams in the near past would help them with their confidence in their coach, obviously, his game planning and things like that. The fact that they ran the ball well, and if the Rams defense has a weakness, it's probably against the run. The fact that their defense was red hot, on fire, like they could do nothing wrong. I felt if they could run the ball, keep the game close, not let Cooper Kupp explode, that they would find themselves at the end in a position to win the game. Unfortunately, Cooper Kupp still exploded, but they were still near the end of the game in a position to pull out the win. I was putting a lot of emphasis in my mind on the dropped interception. When I went back and looked at the replay, there was still 9 minutes left in the game at that point. So nothing's guaranteed. I know people were saying, oh, that's a game. Well, it was kind of a game-changing play. But I can't say that if he makes that interception and they go down and they score, that they're going to win. Because Stafford was pretty much having his way. And if it turned into a scoring match, I'm going to take Stafford over Jimmy G, regardless of the glowing things I said about him in the last 2 weeks. Okay, if you got Stafford and you got Jimmy G, I'm going to go Stafford. So really, when I picked the Niners, I was depending on their run game and their defense to pull them through. It almost did. I think they could have stuck with the run and been a little bit more imaginative with their run game. They may have kind of overdid it with Debo running and maybe underdid it with Debo downfield. This is all Monday morning quarterbacking, obviously, but they had their chances. They had their chances.
When I looked at it, a couple things real quick. Number one, I believe we completely underutilized Kittle as a receiver. Kittle is the type of guy as a receiver who dictates coverages. So automatically you even open up your run a little bit if he's out there. And I'm a Madden guy, no virtual versus whatever, but long story short, he can get open kind of like Cooper Kupp can. He gets open and he catches the ball and he runs after the catch. So Kittle is, like you said, they got a little carried away with Debo. Kittle this takes no back step to any receiver on that roster. So you have to go to him as a receiver, and I don't think they did that. Number one. Number two, the Rams were pretty much determined that you were not going to run up the middle on them. And I really felt they needed a few more off tackle, or they needed to out leverage them to the outside, and we didn't do that. So often I saw us going up the middle and getting stumped. You know what I mean? We had a number of drop passes, and and we had a few, missed interceptions. The touchdown to Kittle, as far as I was concerned, was just proof that they need to be throwing the Kittle more, because he was open when he overthrew him, and then he gets a touchdown. And when I looked at the numbers here, before this. Let me see if I can grab this real quick. In terms of receiving, Kittle had 5 targets, 2 receptions, 27 yards, a touchdown.
It's unacceptable.
5 targets.
Unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
You know what I mean?
It's like you said, the man dictates coverage, but he can't dictate coverage if he doesn't get targets. They're not going to throw it to him.
And, you can run almost a 2 tight end set with Juszczyk because he is both a fullback and a tight end as far as I'm concerned. So even if you want to, run something like a 2 tight end thing, you could use any of the other 2 tight ends, or you could use Juszczyk. There's a lot of power you can run. And also they did a pretty good job of throwing the ball to Mitchell. And so that really loosens up an offense. You don't always have to run the ball, you know. And the one thing that I've been saying all season, and I think, again, I see it with Garoppolo, the first 5 to 7 yards of the receiver's route, so often they're open. And I keep thinking about, I was joking about Roethlisberger because that's all they seem to be doing near the end of that season was run 5, turn around, throw it real fast,
Right.
and then see what you can do with it. But so often, especially in that last play where he threw the, he tried to underhand and the interception, all the receivers, the defense backed off like 10 yards. They were all open up underneath it, Now, I don't think Kittle, I saw him right off the line being open. Like you could have threw the ball to him 3 to 5 yards and he did just, but he didn't seem like they didn't turn around quick enough. It was like they were not claiming the hot route on the blitz. The blitz is coming, the guys are coming. Somebody got to be hot, some guys got to know to be hot. Kelsey knows to be hot. He'll cut his route short and make himself available. We were running routes. You know what I mean?
What on the play where the interception was, they actually did blitz?
Well,
or was that the regular?
I don't
because
know if they actually blitzed.
To me, like they just beat the crap out of
they
the
beat the crap out. It looked like a blitz the way the linemen were falling and he was getting. But my point was their coverage dropped. You know what I mean? And so if you're looking to throw a 15-yarder, then you didn't have time for that. But you did have time for a 5-yarder that could have turned into a 15-yarder, And so that's what I didn't see happening, especially on those plays. So long story short, relative to Garoppolo, I said we would talk about him a little bit separately, and you were pretty defensive about him. I always want to remind people when I talk about, my team that I'm a football fan first and foremost. So I'm going to try to talk about my team relative to football, but I'm also philosophically a Taoist. So I automatically believe there's a plus and a minus to everything. So like with Garoppolo, as much as I think he has mind farts, and some that I did not ever say that I didn't think he should be the starter this past season. I always say he runs that offense. I don't think he's always been given a good, and like you said, some of the Kyle Shanahan's calls might be a bit questionable, and his, and I think he might have not used things like leverage and stuff as well as he could have. But Jimmy and them were going to run the plays that he calls. So that's what, and then at some point you got to beat the man in front of you. But when you're dealing with Aaron Donald, that might not happen as much as you want. The one play, for example, is funny. In the week before, they put Trent, Williams, like in the backfield and had him like running like leading a sweep.
Yeah, what they did basically is they pulled the left tackle almost in motion. I think he came out early, kind of went in motion.
Yeah, kind of went in motion.
Then took off on a sweep, which was a wonderful call. When I talk about coaches using their running game and putting a little bit more imagination in it, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. That was a really imaginative play. I don't think I've actually ever seen an offensive tackle go in motion,
Motion.
let alone pull from one side of the field completely around to the other side of the field. But that was good imagination. That was a great play. I think.
Let me finish this point.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So the reason that I'm saying that is they ran that against the Packers.
Right.
Okay. And he crushed people, and it was a very successful sweep type of play.
Right.
They didn't run the sweep. They ran it like a fake. They let Trent go in, and he looked like he was running the play. Then they tried to run it up the middle. Again, that's where Aaron Donald is. You'd have been better off staying behind Trent like you did last week, and they're going to have to just stop it. As far as I was concerned, the play worked last week, but it was like he overthought it. So I'm going to trick these guys. I'm going to run the same look, but I'm not going to run the same play. And so that's kind of a weird situation. It's kind of like, okay, I could kind of give you credit for thinking that, but by the same token, once Trent can't be stopped. So, the fundamental thought of running behind that guy was good. Let's keep it up until they actually show that they got something for that, because not many people do. He is so athletic, Ben, in Madden. He is actually higher rated as a tight end than I think at least two of my backup tight ends are. So,
I'm all for putting stuff on film for your opponent the week after, give them some extra stuff to worry about. I understand his thought process, but if it was me, I'd run the same thing first, then come back with the counter off of it. Okay? Like, yeah, we ran this last week. We know you saw it, but we love this play so much, we're going to run it down your throat anyway. And they go, wow, you showed us this last week. You should have known we were ready for it. Maybe they stop it, maybe they don't. Then you come back with again, and they're like, these arrogant MFers. And then you come with the counter off of it.
With the counter off of it.
Right. So I understand his thought process.
Boxing, it's the same thing. Blah, 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 blah. And then pat,
Yeah. Yeah, jab first and then go with the knockout punch. I get it. What's his name? Elijah Mitchell. I think he had almost 20 carries, 70 or 80 yards rushing. It's a pretty good day. But he only caught
No. Elijah Mitchell had 11 carries for 20 yards.
Oh, I'm thinking of his total yardage. I'm sorry. I'm actually thinking about the week before. But how many passes did he catch? 3, 4?
3. He was targeted 3. He was 3 for 3. He had 50 yards. 16.7 yards per carry. That's what I was saying to you. Throw it to him.
Throw it to him.
You have a 5th receiver. You got Debo.
Get him in
you got
space.
Ayuk. You got Kittle. You got Juszczyk, and you got Mitchell.
Get him in space. That's your best chance. They go all out to get Debo carries and passes and swing him out and this and that all over the place. You have other competent playmakers. Get the ball to them. Ayuk caught a couple of passes. I was happy to see that. Then he disappeared.
He targeted 8 times. He had 4 receptions.
Unfortunately, that's a good day for him. They should use him way more. In other words, I got to put this one on Shanahan, man. You're not using your weapons. You're really not. You got a glorified game manager quarterback who you're real happy with and who runs your offense really well. Use everything you have. Use everything you have. Let me tell you something. You throw the book at them guys.
You could spread the field with the Niners and create havoc for.
Of course, easily.
And create havoc. But he doesn't run those type of.
You put Mitchell out wide. You can do all of that.
I'll let you know that I do. I've done it.
As you should. Instead, it seemed like he condensed the playbook and figured, you know what? We're going to take everything that we do really, really, really well and just beat them over the head with it. That's all well and good until Cooper Kupp breaks a couple of runs on you. a couple of catches and runs. The Cooper Kupp is great after the catch. After he does that and they get a couple of scores on you real quick, that goes out the window, man.
Listen to this. There was one name that kept popping up that was a pain in my butt during that game for the Rams. Now, Cooper Kupp was targeted 14. He caught 11. Beckham was targeted 11. He caught 9. Okay.
Wow. That's big.
He caught 9. The third leading receiver was a guy named Blanton, the tight end. Remember that tight end
that took over for Higbee?
Took over, comes in, he's targeted 5 times. He catches all 5 of them for 57 yards. And he was at least responsible for 1, if not 2 or more first downs.
Didn't he score a touchdown?
No.
Oh, that was last week. That was the week before he scored.
Week before, yeah, they talked about he got his first touchdown on the show. But he was hurting us for first downs.
Might have been worse if it was Higbee.
Higbee had 3 targets, 2 receptions.
Yeah, before he went down.
But I don't think they were looking for Blanton at all. So he was kind of running. They weren't really paying enough. Next thing you know, this guy's catching everything and running with it and creating havoc. So, that was another, he played well. And I just, that was a name that I don't think most people had really mentioned. So,